The homeless man was wandering by the side of the road. Unexpectedly, he met some frivolous teenagers. A boy challenged him persistently.
I asked you a question.
The man never fought back, just said,
If you touch me, you will burn.
But the boy still didn't stop. In the next second, the boy's eyes were dull, and he fell to the ground. The man was accused of murder and brought to the police station, but he never said any word, just nestled quietly in the corner. The sheriff had no choice but to find the beauty, a psychiatrist, and asked her to communicate with the man. In the end, under Beauty's enlightenment, the man stood up slowly, but his spirit was still not stable. After a long time, he finally said a word. It turned out that the man's name was Eric, and he was a Norwegian American. 3 years ago, he came to the Odal farm in Norway in order to find his relatives. Later, a fire broke out on the farm, causing 5 people to die in the fire. Eric was the only survivor. The cause of the fire has never been ascertained. The police wanted to know the truth about the fire, and what happened last night from Eric. Eric told the truth. He admitted that the fire was caused by himself, included the teenager who died last night, in order not to cause trouble to others. He had lived alone in the forest for 3 years. Yesterday, he had only come to the town to steal some medicine. Unexpectedly, he met those teenagers. The beauty couldn't understand how he did it, and according to witnesses, Eric didn't do it at all. In order to let the beauty believe in himself, Eric had to start his performance.
That's impossible.
Do you believe me now?
But just then, Eric suddenly lost control and could not stop himself, and the whole room was scorched in an instant. Fortunately, under the comfort of the beauty, he gradually stabilized. At the same time, the charm of the US Embassy rushed to the police station to bring Eric back to the United States. In order to avoid losing his temper in the helicopter, Eric gave himself an anesthetic, but it didn't help much. On the way to the transfer, Eric woke up and found himself tied up, and his emotions began to get excited. Suddenly, lightning and thunder in the sky killed the crew on the spot. The helicopter malfunctioned and crashed into a nearby lake. Eric used his ability to untie the shackles on his hands, and he swam to the shore. Knowing that he had made a big mistake again, he had to flee the scene quickly. The dazed Eric found the beauty again, and she became the only one he could trust. But just as the two were about to leave, a police car roared past, which made Eric nervous again, and almost caused the beauty to suffocate to death. Fortunately, Eric ran out of the car in time, which resolved the crisis. The beauty knew she would be dangerous around Eric, but she chose to help Eric. The beauty took him to a remote cabin, and Eric gradually stabilized. He told the beauty that when there was a fire on the farm, he felt a powerful energy in his body for the first time, and since then he could control the weather, water, lightning and so on. But at the same time he would burn his body, bringing serious consequences whenever he was emotional. The charm woke up and checked the weather report before the helicopter accident. The storm formed quickly within 2 minutes of their takeoff, which means Eric caused the storm. In order to catch Eric, the charm immediately issued an arrest warrant. The beauty feels more and more uneasy. She tried to persuade Eric to turn himself in at the police station. In order not to cause trouble to the beauty, Eric had to promise her, but just ready to set out, once again witnessed a miracle. It is obviously rainy weather, but they could not be wet in the rain.
I just had a thought that I wanted it not to rain on you.
After seeing such a spectacle, the beauty changed her mind instantly. The two decided to go back to the farm to find out the reason, but while the beauty was refueling, Eric suddenly disappeared. The beauty looked around for Eric and saw him standing in the middle of the road, with a strange smile on his face. Eric later told the beauty that he had just had a vision in which a huge old tree occupied the whole horizon. But at this time, the beauty caused a small situation, which let Eric out of control again, resulting in the car scrapped on the spot. The two had to take a van to move on. In order to catch Eric as soon as possible, the charm asked the sheriff to set up a roadblock on the Cross-Sea Bridge. When the truck driver saw that the situation was not good, he immediately ran away, and the two were trapped in the middle of the bridge. For the safety of the beauty, Eric chose to surrender, but the police pressed the beauty to the ground and planned to arrest her. This completely infuriated Eric. The beauty tried to get Eric to control his emotions, but he was completely out of control, and then his whole body started to catch fire, and then passed out. People saw the miracle of Eric's control of lightning through the news. They thought that Thor came to Earth, and caused a sensation all over the country. The sheriff was also a devout believer, who believed that Eric had some connection with Thor. When he came to the hospital, Eric's internal organs were already dilapidated, and if he had been an ordinary person, he would have died. At the same time, Eric triggered a strong electric current, caused the whole hospital to be paralyzed. A child was in urgent need of electric shock, and was struggling on the brink of death. Eric was going to use his powers to save him, but just then, the boy's father came to the hospital to avenge for his son.
You killed my only son.
I'm sorry.
Eric told him that he didn't mean to kill his son, and that there was a child next door, and that he was in urgent need of his help. After struggling for a while, the old father chose to lay down his weapon. Eric staggered into the ward, and begged the doctor to let him try. Eric slowly put his hand on the child's chest. The child miraculously came back to life. After hearing Eric's miracle, people rushed to the door of the hospital to witness the divine man, but the charm thought that Eric's presence would cause a great sensation among believers all over the world, and she planned to secretly kill him. Eric realized that he could bring hope to people by making good use of his abilities, but he was still confused about the source of his power. The sheriff thought that to explain all this, he had to go back to the farm. According to the book, Thor, together with the other gods, fell at Ragnarok, while Thor's two sons built a farm in the ruins of Asgard, documented the glorious civilization of the entire Protoss in preparation for their return. It wasn't long before the sheriff took they to the farm. As soon as he arrived here, Eric was pulled by a mysterious force that made him kneel to the ground. The sheriff immediately called the excavator and found an old secret chamber at the bottom of the farm, with many stones engraved with runes. In the hall of the secret room, there was a pattern of the Tree of Wisdom. This was the big tree in Eric's mind. According to legend, the Tree of the World connects the 9 realms. Obviously, this was the farm built by the son of Thor, and Eric is the descendant of Thor. There were dusty artifacts hidden in the box next to it. An infinite glove, the belt of the gods, and the hammer of Thor. Eric excitedly put on his equipment. Suddenly, there was lightning and thunder in the sky. All the energy converged on the hammer of Thor, and Eric walked out of the secret room excitedly. But just then, the charm ordered the sniper to shoot. The hand shook, the bullet missed, and the beauty was shot in the head. Eric watched the only person he trusted be killed, and instantly started the frenzy mode. He raised the hammer of Thor and burst into great power. In the end, no one near the farm was spared, and Eric disappeared.